So today, I really wanted us to look at questions. Topic number two is an area that we have really been discussing for quite some time. That is development of management thoughts. Development of management thoughts. So we're looking at questions and answers, and I would want us to start with November 2016, question number 2A. November 2016, question number 2A gives us a good question on one of those management thought scholars that we need to look at. So November 2016, question number 2A. November 2016, question number 2A. They want us to assess the relevance of Henry Fayol's principle of management to the practice of management in organizations today. In organizations today. So Henry Fayol principle of management, principles of management to the practice of management in organizations today. Ladies and gentlemen, here the very best student who was able to score all the marks in this particular question was that student who was able to remember our acronym. Remember our acronym of the 14 principles of Fayol. And really, that is even his biggest contribution in terms of management, which is applicable in today's workplace. So remember the DAD, you see, USSR, question mark, OIC. There are 14 of them. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember the first one is all about what here? Discipline. And the discipline, of course, the biggest contribution there is all about, that is discipline. We are supposed to have employees who respect rules that govern an organization, be it in terms of time management. All of us, let's be keeping time. How do we run our boards or meetings? If we have rules, let everyone observe them. Really, if we need this organization to move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, number two, we have authority. So of course, authority is that right that you have as a manager to be able to make orders, and the people should be able to execute whatever you tell them. So authority, that's a key contribution. There are 14 of them. Then we have a division of labor. Division of labor is all about specialization. According to Henry Fayol's school of thought, he said that once these employees specialize, then automatically the productivity of employees will do what here? Will go up. Ladies and gentlemen, we have unity of command. Unity of command is number 4. Unity of command is number 4. So under unity of command, ladies and gentlemen, remember this is the concept of you as an employee receiving orders from one supervisor. You have one leader at a time. You receive orders from one supervisor. That is very important. Remember, under DAD, you see USSR, we have got two U's. One U is unity of command. The other U is unity of direction. Ladies and gentlemen, remember the unity of direction, what are we supposed to talk about? Under unity of direction, ladies and gentlemen, all those teams here with the same objectives, should always be working under the direction of one manager, So under unity of direction, if, ladies and gentlemen, we've got 2 or 3 teams that are working together, they have the same goals, then all those teams here should be tied up together and have all of them being under what here? One manager who will be offering now the directions. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the concept of remuneration is a key principle. Remuneration is a key principle of Fayol. Remuneration, ladies and gentlemen, remember under remuneration, we talk of you as an employer having that thought of fairness in terms of how you pay your employees. So remuneration is key. Let everybody who is quite motivated in the organization, anybody who is able to produce more than the others, you should never have a problem with them earning more, with them earning more. Very important. Subordination. This is subordination. The next point is subordination. It's subordination of what? It is subordination of individual interests to the company's interest. Interests of employees, ladies and gentlemen, should never be allowed to become more important than those of the company. In case your interests as an employee, ladies and gentlemen, are not in agreement with the interest of the company, then automatically it is the interest of the company that will prevail. So in this case here, you have to subordinate. You must come under the company's what here? The company's interest. Otherwise, if it is the other way around, then we will say you as an employee, you are insubordinating the organization. We have the concept of that. You see USSR, there is a C there, which means what here? Centralization. Centralization. Ladies and gentlemen, remember the centralization or decentralization. Those are quite important. Decentralization basically means that you are giving away your power to employees, Under centralization, ladies and gentlemen, like now what we have in the national government, if the national government was to usurp in this case here, all the functions of the county government, then of course county governments, then all these county governments, if they were to fold up and they take all their powers here to the national government, then we'll be talking of a centralized system. But if the national government is giving most of their duties to the county government, then we talk of decentralization. Remember what Henry Fayol told us about this particular thing. He told us that there is no one clear model, which in this case here stands out. To him, he rooted for both, that an organization needs to have some centralized powers, a few of them, and some powers given the participatory way of involving employees. Some powers in this case here should be what here? Should be decentralized. Then we have the Scala chain. If you remember the Scala chain, ladies and gentlemen, remember under Scala chain, very important. Scala chain, we are looking at the organization's structure. Where is the position of the CEO? Where is the position of the COO, Chief Operating Officer? Where is the position of the CFO? So of course, after that, we should be able now to have the other hierarchy, which captures what here the positions of the other employees. Most importantly, under the Scala chain, employees should be aware of where they stand in the organization's hierarchy or chain of command. From there, ladies and gentlemen, we have another one called order. Order, we are told under order, remember, we just need to be orderly in the way that we do things. For example, our filing systems. Do we have an order in such a way that even if an employee who has been maintaining some file was to leave this particular organization, do we have an orderly way? Are our files organized in a very orderly way that someone else can come from outside and be able to pick quite easily documents from that particular file? So order, ladies and gentlemen, covers a broad spectrum. Order will include things like, for example, having a clean environment, right? And so many other things. Then we have here stability of tenure. So under stability of tenure, ladies and gentlemen, it's good for you to have, number one, your employees are having like contracts, where in this case here, you are telling them that you are going to work for us, say, for 3 years. After that, we should be able to sit down and do what here? Evaluate the position, whether you're going to continue or something. Remember the stability of tenure also, ladies and gentlemen, we should most importantly have like an HR manager. Very important, because under stability of tenure, we are looking at things like what here? Motivation. These employees should be motivated to work for us for a long time. Stability of tenure, ladies and gentlemen, is always against high labor turnover. And then we have second last, the concept of what here? Initiative. So under initiative, employees, ladies and gentlemen, should be given a chance to give ideas. And whenever their ideas come into fruition and they benefit the organization, you should be able to reward all employees who take initiatives to do things, even by their own volition, without doing what here? Being coerced by anybody, without being forced by anybody. And then we have the esprit de corps. And the esprit de corps, ladies and gentlemen, and the esprit de corps, organizations should strive to promote what here? Team spirit, and what here? And the unity. Team spirit and unity. Team spirit and unity. So that is important. I expect you, ladies and gentlemen, to remember, whenever they talk of Henry Fayol, you have to remember our dad. You see, USSR, OIC. The next question, ladies and gentlemen, under this concept of management thoughts that I would want us to look at is May 2014, question number 5B. May 2014, question number 5B. They want us to evaluate 5 contributions of the Scientific School of Management to the contemporary management of organizations what year today. Ladies and gentlemen, you're supposed to know, number 1 here, that we have got the classical thoughts, this classical school of what year management. Classical school of management, if you can recall, ladies and gentlemen, under the classical school of management, these are basically those old management theories. The very old management theories, they are quite different from the contemporary, theories. So classical are the old management theories. Contemporary are what here? The modern. Ladies and gentlemen, if you recall, there is a big difference between the classical models and the contemporary models. Remember, the classical models were telling us what? The classical models were only after productivity. How do we enhance the productivity of the company by making maximum use of what here? Employees. So classical models were not humane. Unlike in this case here, the contemporary models, which are coming to tell us, hey, fine, you would want the productivity of this company to go up, but don't do that at the expense of the employee. Don't do that by killing your employees. Have that humane face. So look at things like motivation. But now this was quite an interesting question. If you recall, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, even before I look at this question, under the classical management theories, those old style management theories, which models do we have there? Like now we have the one of bureaucracy, that is Max Weber. We have Frederick Taylor's scientific management model. Scientific management model is also a classical one, a very old one. Those models, ladies and gentlemen, that were being discovered at the beginning of the 19th century. And then we have the Henry Fayol's, especially the administrative management theory. That's classical. But now look at this question. Is a very interesting one. They always keep on repeating this. May 2014, question number 5B. Question number 5B. They wanted us to evaluate 5 contributions of the Scientific School of Management, to the contemporary management of organizations today. Ladies and gentlemen, they are talking of the Scientific School of Management. Who is the father of this Scientific School of Management? The father of the Scientific School of Management, ladies and gentlemen, is none other than Frederick Taylor, one of those old forefathers of management, specifically the father of scientific management. So he's an old forefather of management, but you're being asked, ladies and gentlemen, here to tell us how his contributions are relevant in the contemporary, in the present, in today's world. Ladies and gentlemen, it will be worthwhile, if I were you, these are how I would have started answering this question. That now that they're talking of Scientific School of Management, ladies and gentlemen, we know that this was really brought forth by who? By Frederick Taylor. And Frederick Taylor, I'll have to mention that basically he brought in the issues of work measurement. He brought in the concept of the scientific way of selecting workers. There is a science. A science of even how you come up with what here? Activities. How you come up with activities. And if you recall very well, the scientific method basically involves the systematic recording and the critical examination of job methods with a view to improving them. It's a scientific method that involves the systematic recording. Like I remember, if you are able to remember the concept of the steel structures. So we have here, he was able to come up, ladies and gentlemen, with a set of activities needed to put up those big steel structures, all of them. And then he could record this employee from this time to this time. I mean, what are you able to do? What are you able to do? So that now in the future, once we record those timings through what we used to call time and motion studies, it will be very easy for us to predict. So the concept of recording is key. The concept of examining the job methods was also key, ladies and gentlemen. So then most importantly, these things that he gave us in the old timings, which are still relevant today, because the question is all about how, the question is all about to evaluate 5 contributions of the scientific school of management. Those are contributions of Frederick Taylor to the modern world, to the contemporary management of organizations today. Ladies and gentlemen, number one, very important thing that Frederick Taylor told us in those old days, which is a big contribution that is applicable today, is number one, specialization. He's the one who introduced the concept of specialization as a way of mastering your work as an employee. And the moment these employees master their work, of course, they are going to improve on their efficiencies, and then automatically the productivity of the farm will do what? Will go up. Remember the specialization, he told us, ladies and gentlemen, that what matters most is the repetitiveness. If you're able to repeat whatever you're doing over and over again, chances are, of course, higher chances are you will really be more productive. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the person who spoke vividly in the beginning of 19th century. He spoke so vividly about teamwork. He said that whatever success we have in the organization, there is no employee who should really raise up his hand and say that for sure this is my work. No. He said that there are normally very many. He said normally there are very many cogs of a wheel which lead to whatever success. So then what he spoke about in those old days is that employees need to cooperate. You as a team leader, what you need is to introduce the concept of what here? Teamwork, the team spirit, the esprit de corps. So it's an old concept, old contribution, which is very much applicable in today's world. And that is why you'll get so many people taking their employees to Mombasa for team building, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, surprisingly, these old men were very wise. This is the person who spoke about the third concept, who spoke about the concept of training workers, is the one who spoke about the concept of continuous professional development. He said that you should never have an employee in your organization who does not keep on learning new ways of doing things. So that is a third contribution that is covered in those old days, but very much applicable in what year? In today's business. Ladies and gentlemen, the other thing that he really spoke about that we normally see being applied up to now is this concept of job evaluation. Job evaluation. So under job evaluation, ladies and gentlemen, he said that it is important that we evaluate organizations or other jobs within the company. There are very many managers, as we speak, ladies and gentlemen, who really lead their companies, but they are not quite aware of what happens at the workplace every other day as regards what your jobs. So he said that we should be able to do a recording of all the works that we have within the company. With what objective? An objective of after you have documented what normally happens in this particular job, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, then you should be able to evaluate. While you're doing the evaluation, of course, you'll be able to get a scientific way of assigning employees, best employees to this particular work here, to these particular jobs. So it is something that he said, ladies and gentlemen, in those good old days, but which is really applicable up to now, which is applicable up to what year? Up to now. Very, very important. Ladies and gentlemen, if you recall also, Frederick Taylor, in those good old days, he spoke about what here the connection between the output that these employees give us vis-a-vis what we pay them. He said, according to him, in those old days, he said, if you are able to come up with a model which basically looks at how much has this employee produced, and then we peg some kind of payment on output, then everybody will be motivated to produce more. He is the father of piece rate system. He said, pay your employees in terms of the work that they do, the piece rate. Piece rate. The system, this system is applicable up to date. Like at RCM, ladies and gentlemen, you realize that basically what we do every other day, if it is lecturers, we pay them on a per hourly basis. That is number one. That is there. And then we have pieces. For that lecturer, for example, has got so many students, even in these online classes, he has to earn more so that they also become part and parcel of our marketing activities. So it's very important for us to have that. It's very important for us to understand that. Very important for us to understand that. Please, if there are any questions, don't hesitate to raise them. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, the other concept that I would want us to look at today, which falls under management thought that have really been able to push most of the organizations to where they are today, is the concept of Max Weber. So this concept of Max Weber, I would want us to use the June 2013 question number 3B question. June 2013, question number 3B. June 2013, question number 3B, where they want us to discuss 6 principles of bureaucracy as it was advanced by Max Weber. As it was advanced by who? By Max Weber. As it was advanced by Max Weber. As it was advanced by Max Weber. Ladies and gentlemen, remember Max Weber. I like Max Weber. Max Weber is the father of who? Bureaucracy. Max Weber is the father of bureaucracy. He's the father who told us in those old days that if you want an organization, ladies and gentlemen, to really have a long life, longevity, we must ensure that everybody in the organization follows rules and regulations of the company to the letter. That is the key contribution of Max Weber. Rules and regulations to the letter have to be followed. But now, ladies and gentlemen, remember this examiner knew that students had already busted that concept and went and asked about 6 areas where Max Weber's theory of management did contribute in 6 areas. So I'll be able to remember them very fast. These are quite straightforward. Number 1, of course, we've spoken about rules and what here, regulations being the yardstick that everybody should be able to do what here to follow if really we want this organization to go far. Number 2, ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman spoke of competence. He said, ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever read about his theories very well, he said that if we want this organization to really outlive its founders, the current employees, ensure that you assign employees to the work that they are competent to handle. He said this thing of whom do you know is a very, very, very bad thing that kills organizations. So competence is a key thing. The other thing, ladies and gentlemen, that Max Weber, number 3, that Max Weber spoke about very well is the concept of specialization. That fine, these people are competent, but moving forward, this thing of having some employees, even if they're very good, being really multi-skilled, being, ladies and gentlemen, what we call, in this case here, a jack of all trades. He said, no, if it's accounts department, let's segregate. Let's, in this case here, fragment the accounts department into payables. Have an employee who will just be a payables accountant forever, like that. So number 3, he said that for this particular concept of bureaucracy to work very well, we need specialization or a division of what here? Labor, or division of labor. Then he spoke about a well-defined organizational structure, a well-defined hierarchy that we have the CEO at the top there. We have the chief operating officer immediately following him. We have these other senior positions like CFOs. And then ladies and gentlemen, the most important thing is that we must, if we want this thing of bureaucracy to work, we must be having an hierarchy. This organizational structure where each employee knows their positions, whom they report to, and their jobs and responsibilities must be spelled for them out very well. So a job description is very important for that to work. Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth or fifth thing is the concept of us distancing ourselves from having relationships within the organization. Like, for example, I, Joshua Aura, I was brought by so and so. So my allegiance is towards this person. That does not work. That does not work. Max Weber, the father of bureaucracy, told us that we have to establish what we call impersonal relationships between ourselves in the company, that all of us are paying our allegiance to the organization, not to the people who employed us. This is what kills very many organizations, because you will get a situation where somebody will come and tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that, look, I'm the one who employed you here. So I want every evening, you should be giving me 20,000. Hey, I should be able to tell you, according to Max Weber, if you want me to give you that money, not a problem, but let's follow rules and regulations. You brought me here, fine, thanks for that. Thank you for that. But remember the concept of impersonal. If you want a personal relationship, let's meet out at the company. We square out our happiness levels. And of course, any differences we have, we should be able to do what here. Any difference we have, we should be able to square that outside. But within the firm, I'll have to follow the rules. I'll have to follow etc, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, remember Max Weber is the one who spoke about records management. Records management. That for bureaucracy to be complete, we must have the manual cash registers. We must have those books of original entry. Everything in this case here that happens in the organization has to be documented, etc. So records are a key that we keep them. Very important, very important. So I hope that is very clear to all of us. It's important that we capture this. Hawthorne's experiment is another area that I would really want us to be good in terms of experiments that were done in those old good days, but which are what here still very, very relevant, contemporary. Hawthorne's experiment was conducted by Elton Mayo, if you recall. That particular experiment, which was done in America in a company called General Electric. I can see that gentleman putting some ladies into various groups, etc., and was able to do very good experiments, changing lighting conditions, productivity going up. And then, of course, I can see pure, total darkness, but still in darkness, in problematic timings, still those ladies' productivity went up. And if you can remember the biggest discovery, which Elton Mayo was able to come up with during these particular dark moments, when we had 100% darkness in that room, during that particular time, ladies and gentlemen, what basically made those ladies here to triple their productivity was because of what here, how Elton Mayo was relating with those ladies. Elton Mayo came up with what we call empathy. Empathy is quite different from sympathy. Under empathy, ladies and gentlemen, you'll of course look at these particular employees and you put yourself in their shoes. And that is why Elton Mayo, we are told, went against the grain, having been senior in that company, to help those particular employees during those dark times. So, and of course, employees saw him doing some little activities here and there. They were mesmerized. They had to put in more effort to ensure that they don't let Elton Mayo down. But now the question is quite tricky, and this is what makes SGE a very interesting paper. They're asking us here, it's a good question, December 2013, question number 5A. December 2013, question number 5A. They want us to analyze 4 contributions of Hawthorne's experiments for the study of management. 4 contributions. 4 contributions. I'm able to see them very clearly. I can see them. I can see them. While closing my eyes, I can see very many contributions of Elton Mayo's experiment. Now, number 1, the thing, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm able to pick very first is the school of human relations. The concept of understanding that these are human beings who are working for you. When somebody comes and tells you, this is a lady, for example, who went to give birth just the other month. When they tell you, hey, my senior, I'll be late today to work, you should be able to empathize with that young lady. Don't be very hard at her. So how do you relate with your colleagues? If your relationship, ladies and gentlemen, is so nice, at the end of the day, you'll be able to attain your goals. The firm's objectives will be attained. So that is a major contribution. The concept of school of human relations. The concept of empathy. Empathy is so important. That is the biggest contributor that Elton Mayo gave us into this particular into this particular body of knowledge. Number 2, ladies and gentlemen, Elton Mayo also brought in the concept of informal groups. These groups za moshene. Hatusemi kwamba mwanze kugossip, hapana, but as a manager, you need to know that, for example, like now, how those ladies were being put in that particular workshop. They were sewing. Remember, they were sewing. Elton Mayo knew that, of course, there is what we call friends within the workforce. So if you get, for example, this person has moved from this to this corner, basically in search of a friend whom they rhyme with very well, you are not supposed to disarrange those people, right? So the second contribution is the concept of what here? Informality. So he took note of the significance of informal groups at the workplace. So informal relations at the workplace, ladies and gentlemen, is so important. Even you as a manager, don't be formal throughout. At times, hey, put up your pair of jeans. Put up, in this case, ladies and gentlemen, your hat, right? Talk to these people. You don't have to be calling people to meetings throughout. Stop being very formal at the workplace. That is a major contribution, ladies and gentlemen, a major contribution that really Hawthorne gave us. Ladies and gentlemen, remember I told you that during this lighting concept, as light was going up, still the productivity of those ladies was going up. And that is why Hawthorne's experiments were able to give us this third contribution, very important contribution, the role of work facilities. Work facilities have to be top-notch. So work facilities at the workplace will always enhance productivity if they are top-notch, if they are top-notch, if they are top-notch, if they are top-notch. If they're top-notch. Remember, he spoke about what here, the conditional. We're not saying that you take like human relations is the only thing. No, it is a major thing, but not the only thing. He is still a proponent of the workplace being nice, have the beautiful benches there, have things which are working, taps which are running, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, the last thing that we had a great contribution, and that is why I'm a student of Elton Mayo, I like his school of thought, is this concept of the management style. Which style of management are you embracing? The fourth one is the style of management. Which style of management are you embracing, ladies and gentlemen? Which style of management are you embracing, ladies and gentlemen, at your workplace? Are you going for autocracy? Are you an autocratic leader? Autocratic leaders are dictators. Autocratic leaders are dictators. Or, ladies and gentlemen, are you somebody who embraces ideas from others? Democracy. Somebody, in this case here, who is able to reach out. He respects other people's ideas. etc. So according to Elton Mayo, he said, ladies and gentlemen, that it's very good for managers to be people you can reach out to and never, ever feel intimidated by their positions. So I hope that is clear, and we are continuing